So who says you're listening to? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Mark Nicholas. If you're listening in to the first time, welcome. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. I am an award-winning comedian of 6.5 years, and with me is my lovely co-host.
My name is Kyle Wolf. I'm the one that doesn't sound like a pantomime pirate, and you're listening to Unmedicated, a podcast where two neurodivergent guys, aka myself and Mark, talk about neurodivergent things, i.e. life, with other neurodivergent people, i.e. the guests. And today's topic is voting. So, Mark, how does your neurodivergence affect you going to vote? Or how,
Well, do you know what is really interesting about going to vote? So for people not in the UK, we are given till 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. to go and vote in most elections. But I'm always like, and it's fine because then you can pick and choose when you go. So obviously if it's too crowded, I just hate crowds. I just want to get the thing done because voting's quite stressful anyway because I'm worried about what I'm going to do. Yeah. Who am I going to... Oh, I was always like, with the Brexit referendum, I was paranoid that I accidentally put it in the wrong box. I was like, oh, God, what have I done?
So you voted to leave, right? Yeah? Excellent.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
Good choice.
Do you know what? That's why it happened. That's why Brexit happened, because a load of neurodivergent people couldn't tell what meant remain or leave. Because the question was also really complicated as well. Do you want to choose us to leave the European single market and all the alliances? It was like a paragraph-long question.
Yeah, I didn't read any of that.
Yeah, no, but imagine if you're like, well, you're this.
I'm everything.
You're everything. You've got everything. So, like, when you read, so you didn't read it, you just went, right, I'm going to vote for whatever. You made your decision.
Yeah.
And do you make your decision before you're there, or do you decide there and then?
No, I make my decision before I'm going.
Yeah,
it's a bit like whenever I go to a restaurant, like I know exactly what I'm going to have about maybe 3 or 4 days before I've even entered the place.
And like, to put that in a metaphor for, say, politics, so it's either the piece of shit or the pile of vomit. So which am I going to vote for? That's essentially what it is.
So what do you think, how does your neurodivergence affect the accessibility of going to vote?
Well, again, because I like the idea of going at any time you want. So within
a set time.
No.
But anytime you want within a set
7
time.
a.m. to 10 p.m. is quite a long period because if you go first, and I always go first thing, and then it's quiet, and then I just get it done. But I'm always like, I think the accessibility of it is actually really good because you can go anytime, anywhere. Well, not anywhere. You have to go in your allocated thing. But now they've made it a bit more
constituency. Mark.
Constituency, yeah. Do you know what? I did a sociology degree. That's how useful this was. Your allocated constituency would be like a church or a school, and
I don't know why it's a constituency. It's voting spot, isn't it?
Voting spot. Yeah, it's a voting. So
I just criticised you.
Yeah, screw you, Carl Wolf. No, not your constituency. Yeah, as long as you're in Hymes Park, I can put an X on someone's forehead. Yeah, like God. No, but I just think it's actually really. I think it's really accessible. What I don't like though is that they give you. I don't know why they give you pencils, and I'm always like paranoid because I was always breaking pencils at school as a kid, like press too hard on it, and I'm like, and again there is this paranoia of like you can't exactly call someone over and check if you got it right. I mean you could, but I don't know.
Have you ever used the postal vote system?
Yes. So, no, not postal vote system. I did a proxy vote one year.
What the fuck is a proxy vote?
So a proxy vote is basically you get someone to vote on your behalf. Because I was living in Vietnam for a while. You weren't there, man. You don't know. And what we did, because it was the 2017 election, I asked my brother to vote for whoever I voted for that election. But then I was always worried that he would vote for the person I didn't want and he would never have told me. But that's the one risk of proxy voting. But yeah, so I had to ask him to vote on my behalf and you have to send them certain paperwork. And it's not too bad, actually. Proxy voting isn't as... intense as it was. But I don't know how proxy voters changed now that there's voter ID. I don't know how that's changed. But like, what about yourselves? How do you find voting?
What usually happens is on the day, I will get back from work and think, oh, fuck, I need to go and do that again, don't I? And then I'll begrudgingly get myself out the door at maybe, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, wait in a queue, and then just tick my box and then leave.
Tick? You meant to do an X, not a tick.
Yeah, so that's what I've been going wrong.
Actually, I don't know. See, they say put an X, but I do wonder if you put a tick, it would be a spoil ballot. I always wonder that.
No, I do a cross.
Yeah, you said tick, mate.
Yeah,
so everything you've ever voted for has been invalidated. There you go. Now I'll let you think about that.
Just blame me for everything. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it happened because of you.
For me personally, the accessibility of it's fine.
Yeah.
However, I do wonder about people who maybe can't access a voting. Maybe, say for example, someone's physically disabled, so they can't actually, so they find getting to places quite difficult. And also they have a mental incapacity so they may find the postal voting quite challenging. What happens with them?
Well, exactly. I've always wondered as well if you have a support worker with you.
That's a support worker's voting, isn't it?
Well, no. So if you have your support worker, because people could have capacities to have support workers, but it's like if the support worker was like, how do you know the support worker is doing what the person
that's what I'm saying
has requested? But what is really good in the process of voting, there's lots of like easy read guides now, and things like that. There's also
which are easy to read if you can read.
But I think there's often a lot of this local charity that I work with that has visuals for the process of voting and the candidates. And
again, that's got to be something that's the person who's voting has got to know about. And then they've also got to have something like that in their area. Oh,
yeah, no, absolutely. I can only speak for my area, but certainly when the Brexit referendum happened, we had a couple of speakers coming down, and my brother actually presented it, and it was for like people with learning difficulties and disabilities.
Nice.
And they had what's called jargon cards. So if the politician was rambling on or whatever, a person with a disability would hold up a jargon card. Can you explain this term for us? And it was brilliant. It was so accessible. It was wonderful. I wish every hustings was like that. And I'll tell you another thing. The Leave speaker came across as more accessible, which I'm not saying which way voted, but actually for people with learning difficulty, actually someone who was... So it's not just the process of going to vote. As you said, it's about being informed.
Yes.
And exactly. I think that's the biggest difficulty. I think having it online would help.
Yeah, I think so.
That would go a long way into helping.
Just a tick box online. That's it.
Yeah. Or a cross. Or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
But yeah, so I just think there's a lot of things because it's to preparing for it. It's being reminded to do it. I think that people are pretty good, but I think it could be better. Like, I think any hustings, when political parties should have accessible ways of listening to the candidates and things like that. So I often think that should be at every hustings. Jargon cards would be brilliant for everything. Imagine question time, jargon card, jargon. You would be literally have people holding it up all the time. Or bullshit card, bullshit. That's what I'd love to see.
Me too.
But yeah.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
We were just rolling down the clock there, weren't we?
I don't know what you mean, but Mark, shall we get a guest on?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Hi. So today's guest is a comedian and Mark Nicholas' stage manager. It's Paul Wady. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Kyle. Hello, Mark.
Thank you for making your way. Thank you for making your way down to wonderful. Not one step. Where are we? We've been here for so long. Deptford.
The old metropolis of
Deptford,
South London.
Yes.
So,
Paul, I'm going to ask you the question I ask everyone who comes on this podcast. What do you got?
Nothing that is contagious.
Nothing.
Do you mean my neurodiversity?
Yes, sir.
Well, in 2004, December 2004, I got diagnosed as being autistic by talking about the things I've either got on top of or the things I can handle. And the things I've kind of grown out of, and that was enough in a 4-hour diagnosis with my father and my brother present to declare me a neurodivergent adult at the age of 41. I think I can't really explain what that's like. That by that time, I was so good at NT, having spent all my 30s, my 40s in the Buddhist movement, that thereafter I was deconstructing quite a good act, actually. And sort of going back to being my twitching, gibbering, overwhelmed, scared, speeding self, but actually being able to own it, because part of the technique I had, not knowing anything about neurodiversity, we went to see, brother and I went to see Rain Man when it came out in the 1990s, but it didn't really mean anything to us, although he knew full well there was something funny about me. The whole world did. I thought it was very funny. But once I got the diagnosis, then I had the answer to a question I didn't know how to ask. So it's all been dealing with the fact I'm mainly ADHD, so I'm very pleasant OCD. I'm obviously dyscalculic because of this huge secret history of doing A-level courses as a teenager and not getting anywhere with them, but doing all this work and all these subjects that I shouldn't have done. I should have just gone to art school. But I thought that was a load of rubbish and a waste of time. And pathetic compared to systematic scientific subject. I wanted to design silicon chips. So you see, I was a bit of a cliche, a walking cliche of an autistic, but I've always been cursed with this ability to recover. So I've had suicidal depression when I was 17. And then got over anything like that by the time I was 20. And then eventually you just get into stuff like physical fitness through martial arts, and then you're in the gym, and then you get into the hard stuff. You swap the dojo for a shrine room, and then you're doing all this meditation, doing these 2-week retreats, and then you're really facing yourself. So you got to be somebody who actually enjoys it when someone dies and you're in tears because you feel that last gift of love. And you're actually into that because you're so used to facing yourself with your friends, meditating practices, that when something that most of us try and avoid and it's horrible happens, you're like, yeah, I can really get into myself, stares at the depths. That was the days. It's marvelous. Sounds crazy, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't sound crazy at all.
It sounds like, yeah, go on.
I've got a lot of family members who are very much the same wavelength as you. So I'm
Nutters.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be on PC on this. It's called unmedicated. So say what you mean. Absolutely, genuinely nutters.
Yeah. That's the stock that I come from. Absolute mental cases. Chin.
Yeah, boom shanker.
When I was at university, I was genuinely asked to join the Nutters Society. It was brilliant.
I am actually Lord Neurokin of the Monster Raving Loony Party.
Oh, lovely.
I became a member last year for the purposes of my current show.
Nice.
So I have a certificate and everything.
To show that you're a complete nutter.
He does.
Well, I've got a manifesto.
He gets it. You hand out the certificate around the audience. When he did it once in the library, it was something amazing. It was.
And I found them up, and they said they called me back, and they never did. So even they didn't want to know me.
So actually, because we are getting on to the topic about voting, did you ever so if you officially stood? Like, as in, for the candidacy?
No, they never got back to me.
Oh, okay, fair
Even
enough.
the loonies didn't want to know me.
Too loony for the loony raving
I
party.
mean, to be honest, you're probably more sane than them, but,
Why, thank you.
Yeah. But what, in terms of, like, but as a neurodivergent person, how do you find the process of voting? Because it's this thing that's put on people like a month before they're meant to do it, and then you go at certain times. How do you find that, or do you not vote?
I think it's marvellous because it means you can put anything you like on the ballot paper regardless of what you tell anyone else. So you could go and vote for the National Front, the British National Party, the Communist Party. You can go and vote for UKIP in the old days. You can vote for Reform, and you can lie to your friends you did it for Labour. Which is what everyone tells everyone else. We all voted for Labour. I don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
You can vote for everything. We had the National Front in Hackney. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Generous reparation funding will be given to immigrants and their descendants to return to their ancestral homelands, which means I would have had to have gone back to Liverpool. They would have paid the carry. I'm not going back to bloody Liverpool. What scale are you guys talking on? Think about it. Everyone migrates. Everyone immigrates from Hackney to Shoreditch. You know, it is Hackney. Okay, from Shoreditch to North London, from North London to South London. I mean, what scale are we talking about?
From Northwest London to Hertfordshire.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So don't think about that.
Well,
Allegedly.
See, the kind of people we're talking about, this kind of fascists, they don't really think that deeply.
No,
No.
they
Because they're
don't.
too busy rejecting the thing they feel and think they're not.
Yeah.
Whilst people who come to their area, of wherever they come from, they get into it and then they have children and they are the area. So, you know, how do you think areas started in the first place? You think there was always these paranoid old white people there in the first place? Well, no. Somebody came there and created the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, when you're... What time do you go and vote? Because you can vote between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Do you
Well,
find your
we've
morning?
got-
Isn't it 7 a.m.?
7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's a
We've
long
got a
window.
voting place on our road, only a few hundred metres away, over the road from our local shop, which is like a social club, where we're always greeted with open arms because we're all friends. So we just pop down there, nip in and identify myself, and then I get a ballot paper, you know, and I try to cause as much destruction and chaos as I can with my voting, and I smile at everyone, you know. Then I go over the shop and say, you know, face the Patel family. So guys, it's all right, everything's cool, you know. And then I go back to my wife and say, the usual. Yeah.
But the thing is, this is what I found. When people say, there's no point of voting because I like none of them, then write that on the ballot. Because I just have this image of all these non-voters, people who don't like voting, don't believe in the system. Because spoiled ballots count. No one ever thinks that, though.
Yeah.
Spoiled ballots count. So I just imagine if half the country did a spoiled ballot, what would happen? It would be something incredible. I mean, obviously I won't ask how you vote, but do you spoil your ballot or do you...
No, I just put an X on it.
Yeah.
Fold it up.
Fair enough.
I won't ask how you vote, but
I
how do
walk
you
up
vote?
to the box and wonder if they're saying, has he voted the right way? What's he done?
You just like the people's reactions.
Look at that phone, you're probably doing that.
Well, to be honest, like
Walk
we
off.
were talking about this earlier on the episode. You were talking about, I just tick all the boxes. So any votes
Yeah.
you've done are not valid.
Yeah.
Well, you can vote for Count Buckethead
Yeah.
if it's the Lord Mayor. And there's obviously Count Buckethead, and beneath that was Lawrence Fox. Who, as you recall, I brought to life as a puppet recently.
You
as an action
did,
man.
yes.
5 minute, yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I'm not sure if you experience it, but have you seen when you walk in there to go and vote? Do you think it could be overwhelming for a neurodivergent person?
Not at
or-
all, no, because it's
Yeah.
all really organised. They tick you off on a systematic list. They give
Yeah.
you a very clear piece of paper, and then you go to a private space, calm down, cool down, face the ballot paper, make a decision. It's a private act between you and the pen or piece of paper. and
we are talking
pencil.
strictly legal
And
things.
then
aren't we?
you proceed to go to the ballot box, pop it in, and that's it, and you can leave fast as you can before they try and look at you again. Try to relate.
Do you know what I'm getting a lot of now? I'm getting a lot of the fact that you said you're fine with it, but then you seem to. Are you worried that people are worried how you voted?
Well, nobody ever asks how I voted.
Yeah.
Nobody ever asked me about my politics.
No.
Because they know I come from working class Liverpool, which is kind of like, you don't actually have to say anything else.
You just open your mouth and go, yep, we know
I
how he
was
voted.
16 in 1980. I was hanging out in what was called the Black Community Centre in 1983. There was this I can't remember what it was called, but we used to listen to this group I was in briefly that summer for 27 venues over 3 months. We were in this incredible community centre there in the dead centre of Upper Parliament Street in Toxteth. So you get to see the real world writ large, and then you go back to a relatively nice area where my parents had managed to score a house before the house prices went up. But we were still poor people, Rialto Community Centre, yeah. And then you're in the centre of Liverpool, and it's like, well, what the hell do you expect? Vote for the bloody Conservatives. We're not in the... You do that if you're in the south of England. I mean, literally, there was businesses going to the wall. There was suicides of business people. There was people wearing rags, literally, in the early 80s, there's kids wearing stuff. It was like, my God, and what do you expect me to vote for goodness sake?
What do you think about the build-up to it all? Because I think, again, we spoke about this earlier in the episode about how, there are easy read guides for neurodivergent people to help navigate their way.
Is that they all make promises, which, as each election goes by, you realise how much they renege on them and how much they're capable of not lying, but not doing them. Oh, I'm sorry, this happened, that happened, therefore these promises can't be carried out. So you realise that everything you're watching is a waste of time. Or you could take it literally like a good autistic person. You could swallow.
Follow your masters.
You're amazed how, in the long run, they just did anything they felt like autistic people would.
Yeah. But do you think, autistic and neurodivergent people seem to have maybe a better insight into like when they're deciding who they vote for? They're
more binary.
Sorry?
They're more binary. They're just more. There's less of the consideration of the group, and there's more their own feelings and their own immediate reality, which is actually the true reality of all our politics. And when we take into account the group, the community, particularly the whole country, it's more and more abstract and a bit of a fantasy, based on what we are fed through the media. The newspapers and the television, and then there's nowadays we've got this incredible, hilarious online world where you could be posting anything. I could have invented QAnon. I could have invented it. I could be the guy who invented QAnon.
I mean, imagine this is you're choosing this podcast to disclose.
I would love that. I would love that.
Just announce it to the world.
Yeah,
and I invented QAnon. That's what we're going to tag this as. I invented QAnon.
If you watched Monty Python in the 1970s, you realise where QAnon came from. It was a bunch of Cambridge students, hyper-intellectuals compared to most of the population. We've got the box set of Monty Python, and you look at QAnon, it's the same thing, really. It's just to see who's going to swallow it, and then it got a bit out of hand. It's just how far you can get. So you get a lot of cases of political figures and people being abused by mysterious people on, say, Twitter. And it's actually a gang of 13-year-old schoolgirls with a second-hand Galaxy phone seeing how far they could go. And that's all it takes. And a lot of politics nowadays at the level of social media is just childish, and there's a lot of people out there subverting via politics. And then because I once went to the anarchist fair in Whitechapel in the university there. Luke, actually, funnily enough, Luke Elwood, who's an autistic journalist and writer, we went together. It was fascinating. There was millions of, literally, all these silly left-wing, ultra-left-wing splinter groups with their politics and trying to get into mainstream voting situations. For God's sake.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And they know all about the media. That's why there's all the conspiracy theory. Before there was conspiracy theory about politics, there was all these. It was all in the hands of the so-called lefties. And then we read, because we've always known. I mean, I'm a very good friend of Janine Booth, the noted feminist, trade unionist, writer and activist and performer. She used to be in my theatre group, theatre company, Stealth Aspies. And you've got to read her books and see what the government have actually been up to. She wrote a book on a noted trade unionist from the First World War, whose name I now forget, who's remembered in the East End. And she became a teacher on the scholarship, and then she was just a communist trade unionist and just. And at one point, they were keeping families alive.
Wow. That's mad.
I think it was Millie something, I forget, but you would not believe, the politics. It was about originally, before the Labour movement became the Labour Party, this country was a dictatorship. We had the Conservatives, and then we had the gay people, who was the Liberals. And the Liberal Club was where all the Conservatives basically got off with other men. And I am not joking. I've even been there. Now it's a hotel. The National Autistic Society used it as a reception. But that was basically how it worked. And Jeremy thought it was merely one of a long line of gay men, middle, upper class, You know, Millie Lansbury, I think it was. I've probably got it wrong.
That's all right.
But yeah, politics is fundamentally, it's always been a bit of a fraud. And then the Labour Party came along in this country in the 20th century and waged economic war on the upper classes. So at the beginning of the 20th century, the landed gentry owned 25% of the land mass, and at the end they owned about 12.5% because they taxed it, and they brought Marxism and communism into the whole perspective. And now we've got this wonderful mashup that we have. We weren't a multiracial and then multisexual and now multigendered world. And all of this has done nothing but open up politics beautifully. It's ripping the whole thing wide open because you only have to look at who used to be voted for in the 1970s, of which white men were there. That's it. We had a few women. And then Thatcher was a bloody revelation. You know.
She was, yeah.
Margaret Hilda.
Paul, we're going to have to get you on for a much longer one because I want to hear you talk a bit more. But
Millie Lansbury.
we've gone over our time.
Yeah.
Sorry, George. Could you look into that camera and tell people where they can find you on the socials?
You can find me on @Paul Wady, capital P, lowercase w, on Twitter. And then there's the paulwady.com website. And then there is Paul Wady on Facebook. You will find me there.
Thank you so much
Honestly,
for coming
Paul,
on.
it's
Paul.
been an
That's
I'm on the
Brilliant.
Brighton Fringe now on the 23rd to the 26th.
Oh,
With my eccentric show.
Well, so when we release this podcast,
Yeah.
I will include those links.
Thank
on
you very much. Yeah, and then I'm doing Edinburgh and bringing it back.
And everything, when we release it, it will all be
be
there
on there.
for people to see.
Thank
But
you
thank
very
you so
much.
much,
Thank you
Paul.
for coming
Really
on, Paul.
good to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes,
All right,
see you
all right.
Wednesday.
It's worth it for the water.
That was a fantastic episode. I think we covered so much in that.
Yeah, man. He, she, it, they were absolutely fantastic. Could have done without the Nazism though.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll edit that out in post. All right. That's
Yeah.
the beauty. That's the beauty of being an editor on your own podcast.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, if you do like it, please share with family, friends, your therapist.
Your bigoted grandparents.
And then talk to your therapist again about why you shared this with your bigoted grandparents.
Yeah.
And yeah, please like, subscribe, give us loads of 5-star reviews, share everywhere you can, yell at people on the street about Unmedicated. And if you want to follow us individually, you can follow me at Mark Nicholas Comic.
You can follow me on the street if you wish, but also online at Carl Wolf Says. And I have another podcast called The One Where I interview comedians and entertainers about a film or TV show that they like or dislike. Unmedicated was recorded and produced in studio by the lovely people at Streamline Studios. And so please give them a follow. And, well, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye!